Hi and welcome to another video. Today's topic is MetaQuest 2, which I got around 10 days ago, and we'll look at the hardware, the everyday use, the software, the games, and the conclusion. So let's start with what's in the box. What do you get from around 300 euro, which you'll spend on this MetaQuest 2 in Europe? It's with tax included, so in the US you might get it cheaper, but it's not a cheap device, you know. So the controllers do feel actually good. It fits well in your hand, and the triggers are quite nice to touch. So is the buttons. And the analog stick is also very responsive, but it lacks some kind of travel for my likings. So a little bit larger would be better for me, but it's not a large drawback. So we got the Quest 2 in the box, of course, which is a head-mounted VR device. So you put this device on your head, and you can look around with the device, and in game your character will also look in this direction. So if you're on a single person shooter, for example, and you can move around, and your camera will move around with your head movement. And it's very immersive because you got two screens, or you got the screen split for each eye, so you will get a third dimensional view. So if you're in a VR game, it might at first impress you very much, and with some kind of games you will feel quite some nausea, because if you're moving your head and you're not familiar with it, or you're running around in a third-person game, you might feel a little bit sick. So most games will have some kind of comfort options where you will teleport your character with the left trigger. So you touch the left trigger and you teleport forward, which will help much with nausea. So don't ignore these comfort levels. And speaking of comfort, you got this facial interface included, which will not be covered by the silicon interface, which also included, but you have to cover it yourself. And this is some kind of cheap foam. And this cheap foam will not feel great on your head. So I replace it with an Amazon aftermarket facial interface, which is some kind of jelly stuff. And it feels much better. So I'll link all the stuff I bought for the Quest 2, and of course the games as links in my video, of course, in the description. And the other part is that the headstrap included will not be very comfortable, because to fit your head tight, you must use this headstrap, and you have to push these things to the left and right side to enclose your head, so it won't wobble as much, and keeps the headset on your head. But this thing is pretty nice. It increases the area which the strap will enclose your head, so it's also a cool thing. But you can also use some aftermarket head straps, of course, like Bobo VR, which is quite good, what I've read on Amazon, but Maybe I will get it too and test it out, but I don't know, because this thing is quite impressive. And it's very much better than with the original Headstrap here that's included. Okay. So we will get a 20 watt adapter and a glasses spacer. So this glasses spacer, if you use glasses, you will put it between the facial interface and the headset, and you'll create some space for your glasses, okay? But I don't wear glasses and I didn't test them. So what you'll need for cleaning your lenses, which are Fresnel lenses, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. But you need a microfiber tissue for cleaning them up, so that's not included. You have to get one yourself. And we'll get some China batteries. I don't know why they skimp out on batteries, especially those larger firms like Meta. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's move on. So we'll talk about the specs now. So specifications. MetaQuest 2. We got a wireless headset with Wi-Fi 6. And with the Meta interface, you can actually download games like you would on an Android or iPhone. And it is a standalone headset, so you won't have to connect it to a PC, but you can connect it to a PC. I'll come to it later. So it weighs around 500 grams, which is on the lighter side of the headset. And it comes with an XR2 octa-core CPU from Snapdragon with Adreno 650 GPU. And it's capable of 90 to 120 FPS. So these are the hertz, I mean. So these are the refresh rates that you can actually use. And you get 1832 times 1920 pixels per eye, which is quite decent if you're coming from an Oculus One. But it's not very compelling if you compare it to an Pico 4, for example, which got 2160 times 2160 pixel for each eye. And we got an Fresnel lens, which is not as much as an Pancake lens, which you get on the Pico 4 or the MetaQuest 3, because you see there are these concentric rings around the lens, and like you'd imagine, if you look on a brighter spot printed on a black background, you will have some kind of ghosting, which is called God rays, and some devices from Quest 2, so Quest 2 devices will suffer more from God rays, but this device is actually okay. So I guess if your headset is from 2022 or later, it will be no issue, but nonetheless, Fresnel lenses will always show some kind of God rays. So for further information, just look through the lens videos, which I'll also link in the description. For interaction, we got this 6 degrees of freedoms controllers. But if you're familiar with VR devices, you will know what it means. But it means that you can move it freely, and the controllers will respond to your moving in game. and these will be tracked by this camera sensors around the headset. Yeah. The batteries included in this device. So there are lithium-ion batteries here, and they last around 2 to 3 hours from the specs, but I can tell you that the battery life will be a little bit worse than that. So approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes for PC VR to 2 hour and 30 minutes, whatever. Yeah, keep that in mind. And what we have here, we got the headphone jack on the other side. Yeah, here is the headphone jack, and you can connect your headphones. And for the Pico 4, for example, you will need an adapter, but here it's included, but it's not like a tragedy if you use an adapter on the Pico 4. It's also alright. And yeah, that's it for the specs. USB-C and Wi-Fi streaming with Wi-Fi 6. So if you won't be using a cable like I am, so I'm using the Wi-Fi 6 router that I got with the device, because if I would use a cable, I wouldn't be able to leave my tiny room, and in the living room I have a lot more space to move around. So my sleeping room is like 10 meters away from my living room, and in the sleeping room there is a PC and the router. But the connection is not very good, so the best thing is that you won't move further than 5 to 7 meters away from your router to get the best quality. And you have to keep in mind that you actually need a Wi-Fi 6 router, okay? Yeah, so next point is the comparison to the Pico 4. So I got the Pico 4 for around 1 day, tested it, and it was much better in terms of screen quality, but actually I preferred the MetaQuest 2 because it was 1, cheaper, and 2, had the better ecosystem. It has around 500 apps in comparison to Pico's App Store, which only got 150. And there are sources where you can Google it up and download apps like Sidequest or so. Okay, and yeah. So we spoken about the Quest Phase, but I'll show you what I mean by Quest Phase. So here, if you're using your headset and you're not replacing your facial interface or the head mounting things that I bought, you will definitely have those kinds of traces on your face. And with the default facial interface, you will for sure have those traces, but with aftermarket interfaces and or head straps and or things like this, you will have less pressure on your face with these kind of upgrades, okay? And let's move on. Yeah, we talked about the comfort, and man, the 3D effects is always more interactive, and it's more of an heavy impression in the beginning, and it's more immersive. This 3D effect is like you enter a room, so you're beamed in a game, so to say, okay? And after 5 minutes you feel as if you were living in this game. And it's quite impressive, but many games will lead to nausea because of your eyes not being trained to look in the far distance, but your screen actually sitting very near your eyes, so it may lead to nausea. So 3D effect, and the accuracy of the controllers is quite nice. They are pretty accurate, but as I heard, there are more accurate options, but for the VR rookie, these controllers are quite nice. The battery life is 1 hour and 40 minutes to 2.5 hours, depending on your use case. But it may be that it's 2 to 3 hours. I didn't test it enough to make a final conclusion, but it is what it is. And the Snapdragon is actually quite fast, but there are faster options like the Meta Quest 3. And that's for performance. For performance, I have to say that for mobile games which are on the Meta Store, the graphics quality is quite lower than if you're streaming content from your PC to the headset via PC VR, via Steam or Oculus. And you will notice that the graphics are not as nice as PC VR, but with PC VR we got compression, we got drops of frames, and we got some foggy distance. So the distance pixels are not so sharp as the stuff in the foreground. So it's quite heavy for your PC to render the games. So the games are not so high in quality like normal games. Keep that in mind. And if you wanna run PC VR, so you will for sure need a beefy system. So for the software, we can download Quest 2 apps and software from the Meta Store. And the software is, of course, like I told you, not so high in quality like PC VR software, but it can run actually better for performance and so on. So PC VR. I tried Airlink, which is an app from Meta itself, and with Airlink you can use a cable or use it wirelessly. So I used it wirelessly, but it was not so great, I have to say, because with Airlink I got compression, and with Airlink I got like stutter, so the image would move like this, so fluent, then stop, show black stuff around the edges, and then jump to the next frame, okay? And so I tried ILVR, which is free, and it's on GitHub. I will link it in the description. And ILVR ran much better, but it had problems with Skyrim VR. So in Skyrim VR, you would have like, if you will have drop downs, you will like have ghost images. Okay, so the games will be running like this when they're flown, but it will run like this, and move on. So you have ghost images, and it was so much of a problem so that I tried Radiant Real Life, and Radiant Real Life was very good, but it only works with Radeon GPUs like my RX 6800, and Radiant Real Life was much better in terms of performance because it ran at 120 FPS and there were no major drop downs, but the image quality was much worse than on ALVR. And Radiant Real Life, you can actually configure it quite a bit with a JSON file, but it showed quite a lot of compression. So I moved to Virtual Desktop, which is a go-to app for VR devices. And on Virtual Desktop, there was no lag. It ran at 250 megabits per second, no problem. 350 or so, which is the maximum, wouldn't run good because my internet connection is not so good, but the image quality was very okay, so it was very sharp in the games. Maybe not as sharp as you'd expect if you'd connect it with a cable, but it had a very good latency, and I'm quite happy with it. But I have to say that it costs around 20 euros. You will get the code welcome 25, I guess, or 20, no, 25. So you'll get 25% off on the Metastore. And then it will be only 14.99. Okay, so get yourself Virtual Desktop if your PC is not in front of you, if you're using PC VR. The next cool feature or program is UEVR, which is a layer you can put on your Unreal Engine games and you can enjoy them in virtual reality. So you can either use your gamepad or use these controllers, even with a full motion, and you can look around or use your aim on with shooters. So for shooters it's quite good because you can look around and move your camera, and if you move your controller, your weapon will move too. But it got a problem because of the nature of the games. If you use this controller, you have to move with an analog stick. And with this kind of movement, you will get nausea. So native VR apps are quite good in that sense because most apps you just teleport, like I told you. So UEVR is quite a thing, but it's only for Unreal Engine games, and you will quite get some nausea, of course. So next thing is OpenVR FSR, where you can use FSR to improve the performance. And with FSR you can upscale your frames to a higher resolution without losing so much of detail, and it's working quite well. It says that Half-Life Alyx isn't compatible, but I read a tag on the GitHub that they made it compatible, so I don't actually know if it's truth, if it's still not compatible, but nonetheless, for most PC VR games, it's a fine thing. And the next thing is Depth 3D. And with Depth 3D, you can just play all of your games in VR, even with DirectX 8 and 9 games. Not VR, but in 3D. So you look at a quite large screen in your headset and play all your games in 3D. Of course, you have to hook up a controller. And I hooked up the controller directly to the PC with a dongle. But I'm not quite sure if you can't just connect the controller here, okay? Because for me it didn't work out, but I was on AMD Relive, and actually maybe they won't recognize your PC controllers then. Next fine thing is Sidequest, and with Sidequest you can upload APKs, so the source files of Android apps, and some apps are available on Sidequest. And what Sidequest will do is they will download the apps and upload it directly to your headset. But you can upload your own found APKs with Sidequest to your headset. And one cool thing is that you can increase the quality of the display output in the Quest OS. So you can increase the texture size, and many structures will be better, so sharper, so to say, and you will definitely like it. So next part is 3D films. Of course, you can watch 3D films with a few apps in the Meta Quest store, and it's very cool, and you can Google it up. If you Google 3D films, you will find stuff, and I had a monitor a decade ago or so, which had 3D, and with this monitor I put on my 3D glasses and could watch 3D movies, and with these players on the MetaQuest 2 you can do too. So you use connect your PC via Sidequest and upload your old side-by-side 3D films. So for the games, Half-Life Alyx, which is quite cool. I can show you. So Half-Life Alyx. If you're familiar with Half-Life, you'll definitely like this game, and it's so much immersive. You can grab a lot of stuff, and you even got your gloves, which you can pull objects, and you fight with a zombie, for example, and you pull ammo and put it in your backpack, and you have to reload your gun manually. So you push a button to outject the magazine, and you will actually need your hand to get your magazine from the backpack and insert it, and then you have to reload your gun. And the graphics are quite nice, like you see. So is the gameplay for many VR games. The graphics are nice, but the gameplay is not like the standards in PC gaming, but the immersion will pull you in very nicely. Also on cheaper VR games, but if you got something like Half-Life Alyx, which is immersive and a really good game, you'll definitely like it. So, Skyrim VR, also very cool. It's the same game as normal Skyrim, but in VR. And very immersive. Very cool. And of course, you got your really long quest lines with multiple characters, with speaking with characters, with using your magic, your weapons. You get the point. And Skyrim VR, you can do actually pretty funny stuff with it. So yeah, you get the point. Okay. Yeah. So, No Man's Sky, pretty impressive and pretty nice graphics, but you have to lower the details or you won't get very high FPS. Resident Evil 4, you can get it on MetaQuest store, and it's not for me because I'm not so much in horror games, and the first level was okay, it was alright, but then I came into the first village and I tried to hide, to crouch in my room, okay, and with Resident Evil 4 in the village, the people saw me, and like 6 of them were attacking me and eating my neck. So no Resident Evil for me, at least not in VR. Super Hot VR, which is also pretty cool. Here we go. The concept is that if you move, so if you look around or actually move inside your room, the time will progress. But if you won't, the time is freezed, and pretty cool stuff, of course. Yeah. So yeah, actually I bought this device because I wanted to do workouts. So if you want to use it as a fitness device, there is quite a thumbs up. And with workout apps like Rakuten X, 11, Beat Saber, Racket Fury, The Climb, you can actually do quite how do you say, yeah, expensive workout? No, but you got the point, okay? So you will move a lot, and with this movement you will burn a lot of calories. So Rakuten NX is like breakout, but with your controllers acting like tennis rackets. So Also cool stuff, okay? You can play it in multiplayer. And yeah, very cool stuff, of course. So you will be inside your VR world and use the racket to use it as a breakout ball racket. Yeah, you get the point, I hope. And table tennis is of course also cool. So that's 11 table tennis. And the controls are quite nice. And so is movement. But it may be a little bit boring for you. So I can actually show you Racket Fury, because computers are very fast paced. And I didn't play against other players, both in 11 VR or Racket Fury. But in Racket Fury, the NPCs are very good, even out in the lower difficulties. The last game I will show you is The Climb from Crytek. So The Climb will be a climbing simulation where you climb high mountains, and if you look to the side, you will get a very deep impression of height and so on. And it's very impressive, and it's not the lightest game for your visuals or for your nausea, of course, but it's pretty cool. So is the MetaQuest 2 actually worth it in 2024? I would say yes. If you're on a tight budget and can't afford the MetaQuest 3, which is more expensive, but it has Pancake lenses, which will be very good in terms of visual quality, and you will get a color pass-through, which you won't get in the MetaQuest 2. So if you're planning to use the MetaQuest 2 as a mixed reality device, you might consider the MetaQuest 3 because it has color pass-through, and the camera on the MetaQuest 2 is actually not the best. So the MetaQuest 3 will be much more worse for mixed reality. But if you want to get yourself an impression in AI, it's definitely worth it, especially for this $300 mark. So price is low and the value is high. So you get the device itself, you get quality controllers, you get the first impression in VR, and you get around 500 apps and a very cool ecosystem where you can sideload apps from Sidequest and use some kind of VR experiment, watch 3D videos and all cool kinds of stuff. So that's it here for today. I hope it was informative and you had fun, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.